Welcome back for Chapter 21. There was no throne in the throne room. In fact, there were no seats of any kind, nor anything else. From what little Jack could see in the shadows, there was nothing in the room beyond the walls encircling them, and a dark ceiling that seemed to be lit from different spots every time he looked. Jack took a step closer to May and Philip, both for protection and just not to feel so alone in the vast room. Well, May whispered, it's wet. I'll give it that. A shiver ran up Jack's spine and he quickly looked around as the other two crowded even closer. They were all feeling it, whatever it was. Is someone watching us? May asked, shivering with a chill, not from the water's temperature. The walls, Philip said, nodding to his side, and Jack glanced up. Was he saying that there was someone there? And then a large green eye swiveled around to stare right at Jack. The walls weren't stone or coral. They were fish, the biggest fish Jack had ever seen. No wonder the king has no need for guards, Philip said. If one of those creatures could swallow 3 of us whole. That's a pleasant thought, May said, threading her arm through Philip's. Jack forced a laugh, staring at May's arm in Philip's. These things are smaller than giants, Philip. Don't tell me you're afraid. Philip threw Jack a slightly dazed look. Of course not, Jack, he said. This is what I have been trained for. You are all quite safe in my care. Not all of us, Jack said, giving May a dirty look that she never noticed. And how exactly do you expect to save us when this creature attacks? The whales, May asked. You do know they don't eat humans, right? They haven't in a century, a deep voice rumbled from above them. But perhaps they haven't lost the taste for your kind just yet. All 3 of them looked up, but all they could see was the shifting light of the moving whales, if that's what they were called. Who speaks? Philip demanded, pushing May behind him and stepping forward. And just like that, Philip was gone, a lone bubble popping in the spot where he stood just a moment before. Philip! May screamed, and she immediately disappeared as well. Jack whirled around, his sword drawn, but the sword's glow seemed to struggle against the shadows, struggling and lost as it slowly flickered out. He glanced at it in shock and then pushed it back in its scabbard and turned to the archway, only to watch the walls push together, collapsing the archway into nothingness. Great. Do not leave yet, little human, the deep voice rumbled again behind him, this time at Jack's level. It's you I wish to speak to. I. Jack whipped around but saw nothing but a lazy flickering of a triangular tail. I'm no eye, Jack said, his gaze flying around the room, just catching a glimpse here or there of a tail or the glow of yellow eyes. And we mean you no harm. You could no more harm me than you could stop the tide, the voice growled from above him again. Your queen had a hard time believing that at first. Or did she not tell you about the others she sent? Others? Jack said, still frantically looking for the king. I'm actually a bit surprised that she sent you 3 into my realm so blatantly, the voice said, always behind Jack. Before, she had the common sense to at least completely turn your brothers and sisters into merfolk before sending them down to spy on my people. Not you, though. I cannot begin to fathom what she hoped to accomplish. She didn't send us, Jack said quickly. I'm not an eye. I just... Perhaps she hopes I will destroy you, the voice said behind him, now just a foot or 2 from Jack. Perhaps you are no longer of use to her and she wishes me to do her dirty work. Jack slowly turned and found himself staring at a merman easily 12 feet long from the tip of his tail to the top of his head. The king's bottom half was a sleek and white gray finned fish of some kind, but the human half of the king looked no less lethal, nor did the golden trident he held so casually in his hand. Perhaps I will destroy you and do her a favor. She will finally leave my people be, the king said, appearing to consider the idea. She doesn't even know I'm here, Jack said, throwing his hands up in surrender. Really, we only came to find a... The trident glowed brightly, and lightning began playing around its tines. Faster than Jack could see, the king reversed his trident and launched it in Jack's direction. It hit Jack with the force of a crushing wave, catching him by his shirt in one of the razor-sharp tines, plowing it into the coral floor, pinning him there. All I asked was for your kind to leave ours alone, the king said, his eyes flashing with lightning matching his trident. Half a century ago, our kind traded freely, but then... The king's face contorted in rage. But then your people took my daughter, His voice rose as he grew angrier, and here and there the whales jumped in fright. Your kind took her from me. I had to go to land myself to take her back. It was all I could do not to wipe the pathetic little kingdom out completely, but for the love of my daughter. I let that prince and his people live, but never again has a human been allowed in the water. Never again. Yet now here you are. He swam down and looked Jack right in the eye. You three, you will tell me everything you know about the Queen's plans, or I will feed you to the sharks. All of the sharks at once. Jack swallowed hard. And if we tell you? Then I shall merely lock you away until you starve to death, the king said, yanking his trident out of the ground, freeing Jack. You have 1 hour to decide. And with that, Jack disappeared into a bubble burst as well. All right, I'll see you guys for the next chapter. Bye.